Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is another album review, and I'm going to be reviewing Vultures 1 by Kanye West and Dolla Sign. Before I share thoughts on this album, I would like to give a special shout out yet again to Shine for requesting this video. And if there's another film, TV show, or topic or album review that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to either my PayPal or to my Patreon. Link to both is in the video description down below, and I will try to get to your request as soon as I possibly can. Now, yes, I know I haven't listened to Kanye West's entire discography, but I can safely say after listening to Life of Pablo and some select other tracks from some of his other albums, this is not good. Track 1 is Stars, and track 1 is mostly samples and like a remix of Good Luck by Dijon. And that's mostly all it is. It sounds, in all honesty, a lot like something that would be in Life of Pablo. And it fits better in that album than it does here. Because this album is just a mess in terms of its overall tone. Nothing is consistent with this album. Everything just seems to be just picked at absolute random. And Stars, it's one of the more tolerable, so decent tracks on the album, but it's not something that is that memorable. Uh, but it's a lot better and a lot easier on the ears than so many other tracks on this album. Uh, Track 2 is called Keys to My Life. This is a very sappy track from Kanye, featuring samples by, Can It Be Also Simple, Intermission, by the Wu-Tang Clan, Clan, The Way We Were, by Gladys Knight and the Pips, and the usage of the samples is decent enough, and it's an okay song, but it's not really something that you're going to listen to again and again. It's not Wolves, it's not Waves, it's not even something interesting like FML. The first two tracks are not anything special, but they're tolerable. They're decent. They kind of make you think that maybe this album won't be that bad. And then track 3 just slaps you right in the face with the cold, hard reality that this is going to be rough. Because Paid, it's an example of Kanye at his worst in terms of his sampling. Uh, it's got some catchy hooks. I'm just here to get paid. I'm just here to get paid, which honestly sounds like something you would hear from a Daft Punk song. And there are some other good contributions from people involved with the track. Um, but then you have a really bad, out of place sample of Roxanne by the Police that's jarring and sticks out like a sore thumb. But Paid isn't a song that I really like that much, but I would rather listen to that song multiple times over than Talking or track 5 Back to Me or Hood Rat. Uh, Speaking of Talking, that's track 4. And Talking, I don't know what Kanye was thinking when it comes to having Northwest featured when it comes to her vocals in this track. She flat out kills this track with her nails on a chalkboard voice. And it doesn't help either that a lot of the other stuff in that song is just not really worked or utilized that well when it comes to the samples, Talking by James Blake, Off the Grid, um, or, some of the other tracks that Kanye did himself that he samples. in this particular track. And then you have track 5, Back to Me, which is an absolute embarrassment. This track should have been left off the album entirely because this is just pathetic and sad. This track, it features uncredited vocals from Freddie Gibbs, which aren't very good, and they have all these samples, like a sample of Rock Box by Run DMC, and then some really out of place, ridiculous, absurd quotes from Dogma, featuring Jason Mewes' character from that film. I don't know what the hell Kanye was smoking or thinking with this track. I like Dogma and I like Jason Mewes in Dogma. That doesn't mean I want to have him a part of a song, especially when all you're doing is just repeating uh uh big titted beautiful women don't just fall from the sky, over and over again with auto-tune. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, are you fucking kidding me with this shit? And then track 6, Hood Rat, is just an obnoxious song to listen to. Hood Rat, 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 Hood Rat. And that's just the instrumental, and it doesn't really get much better because the rap that's thrown on top of it also sucks, and so does the other samples that are used. Mike Tyson has vocals in it for some fucking reason, which is just as weird and random as it sounds. Um, and the usage of there really aren't any samples, so that's another thing that kind of hurts it. But I mean, I hated that fucking repeated a background track, hood rat, hood rat, hood rat, hood rat. Track 7 is called Do It. And Do It is a track that is just very forgettable. Like, it doesn't really do that much for me. One way or the other. It features uncredited vocals from YG and Nipsey Hussle. It's got interpretations and remixes of Back That Ass Up by Juvenile, Lil Wayne, and Manny Fresh. It's just a track that just is honestly another filler track to me. It's not really much of anything that special when it comes to the lyrics or the overall composition. Track 8 is Paperwork. It's another track that I'm really not that big on. It features uncredited vocals from Quavo, as well as some samples. Montagam Faz Machete 3.0 by DJ Vinno Beat and DJ Roca and a bunch of other people. And like the the instrumental, the sampling, like a lot of that just seems really out of place and just kind of hard to listen to. I think Paperwork is the one that for some reason includes a fucking track that sounds like a literal broken fax machine. I don't know why. Why Kanye and the producers of this track felt that was a good idea to make it sound like, but that's what you get when it comes to the fucking instrumental on this track. It's just as irritating and obnoxious as it sounds. Then you have track 9, which is actually one of the better tracks of the album. It's short, which is actually to its benefit, and it's a good remix and a usage of samples from Love Me or Leave Me by Band of Thieves. Like, it's actually a song that has a good vibe to it too, and good flow. And it's funny to me that a song that is mostly just a remix or a interpretation of of some samples is actually one of the better flowing, better overall tracks on this album. Then you get to track 10, fuck something, and things start to fall off the rails again. Um, this track is laughable. It features uncredited vocals from Playboy Cardi and Travis Scott. Travis Scott's vocals are okay. Definitely better than what Kanye was bringing to it and the other guy. And it's got samples from Smoking on a Junt by Kupsta Kinika and Gorgeous by Baby Keem. But this track, man, this is another track that's just really hard to listen to because it's just so badly put together and annoying. For some reason, there is a chipmunk voice throughout it. And it's just as irritating as you think it is. Like, why? Why do we have a chipmunk doing a verse on this fucking track? Get the chipmunk the fuck out of here. And then after that track, you have Vultures, which is track 11, and it's not much better. It's got really laughable, ridiculous lyrics. And I don't really like the vocals that much by Bump J and Little Dirk. And it's only like 4 minutes and 36 seconds, but it feels longer than that. It's just not a track that I really was into at all. And then track 12, Carnival, that's another track I can kind of listen to because it's got a good hook. You know, ride that dick like a carnival. And I like the choral instrumental that they use in the background, and it's got a good vibe, and you know something you could kind of dance to a little bit, featuring some additional vocals by Curva Nord, Milano Ultras, and samples from Hell of a Life by Kanye, which you know it's kind of an interesting usage of his own music in this track. Um, and that one seemed to have a little bit better production values too than some of the other tracks. It didn't seem like it was as poorly produced or as rushed as some of the other tracks on this album. And honestly, that's like the last album that I mean the last track on this album. Sorry, I guess I got my wires crossed there. That I kind of liked. Because then you get track 13, Beg Forgiveness, and I'm begging for this song to fucking end halfway through. This is way too goddamn long of a track. It's 6 minutes and 8 seconds. It's overlong. It's overindulgent. Uh, Kanye is trying to make some epic track with Chris Brown doing vocals again and using interpretations of Gabriel, and it just turns into something that is just really boring. And the repetitive nature of beg forgiveness was just droning and didn't really help the song when it comes to its honestly almost interminable length. And then you get track 14, which is a good Don't Die. It's another song that basically dies. Um, there's really not a lot to say about it, if you ask me, which features additional vocals by J. Ray Soul. And this one doesn't, yeah, it includes like some remixes of I Feel Love by Donna Summer, but it's just a track that just pretty much just dies early on and just keeps dying throughout the entirety of the track. Like it's not a track that really has a lot about it that really stands out or sticks with you in necessarily a good or a bad way. Then you have track 15, Problematic. This one I didn't care for either. This is Kanye being obnoxious in a way that's kind of annoying. Uh, you had like Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train that's thrown in there, and Hit It Run by Run DMC, and well, no, that's King. A Problematic contains samples from Jubilation by Pierre Henry and Spooky Tooth. And I'm not gonna say it's like the most problematic track on the album, because some of the rapping is okay, but like I'm just not really a major fan of it. Track 16, King. Some of the instrumental stuff on this and some of the samples are kind of interesting because this is the track that samples "Crazy Train" by Ozzy Osbourne, but there's a lot of stuff about it though that I'm just not really that enthusiastic about. That's another track that basically was just Kanye bragging, which I don't really give a flying fuck about. Like, I'm still the king. I'm like, oh yeah, sure you are, Kanye. Uh, if you have to say that you're still the king, then you're not the king anymore. I'm just saying. But yeah, this track is honestly pretty fitting of a way to end this album. It's it's self-indulgent, it's lazy, and it features more awkward sampling and poor production values. It's just a pretty bad album overall. Like, it's not one of the worst albums that I've heard, but it's still a poor album. It's still a poor outing. Like, there's not a single track where I'm like, I loved this track. There's just tracks that I can kind of deal with. But anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you later. See ya.